Hey, 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 happy day 33 of our Get Up and Go challenge. I've got an angel to represent spirit and S for our soap because we're heading into our framework, our soap framework for cleaning up our act in all the different areas and aspects of our life. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. If nothing else, by the end of this challenge, I want to make sure that you have locked in your mind and your subconscious these 7 areas of your life, and to know that you're going to be paying at least a little bit of attention on a conscious level to each and every one of these areas on some frequency, the frequency that's right for you. For me, I do not sit down and consciously consider these 7 areas of my life every single day or even every week. It's probably once a month I consciously sit down and I say, how am I doing in each of these areas? Oh, geez, I've really been ignoring my physical habits and my physical well-being for whatever reason, because we always have a reason or excuse for doing it. But mine was COVID-19 let me slip on a couple of areas, and I have great excuses for why I slipped. Doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just my reasoning or excuses or objections to how things get and how I'm getting the results that I'm getting in any one of these areas of my life. By the end of this challenge, day 33, we've got 7 or 8 more days to go. We will for sure have these areas locked into our mind and our memory and our life, and we will also have the soap framework locked into our subconscious, so that whenever we're faced with a challenge, an obstacle, a failure in our estimation, because guess what, there's really no such thing as failure, is there? It's just what we define to a situation, and we can call it a learning opportunity or we can call it a failure. What feels better to you? Oh, I did this, I made a mistake, I learned from that mistake, lesson learned, or failure. To me, failure sounds and feels a lot heavier and a lot worse, so I'm not going to say, hey, I failed at that. The only way I've redefined failure, just like I've redefined other terms in my life. I think we talked about depression. I redefined what depression is to me and what it takes for me to get depressed. I've redefined frustration and what it takes for me to feel frustrated. It used to be like frustrated. If something wasn't exactly how I expected or thought it should be, I would get frustrated. Guess what that meant? It meant I was frustrated a lot, and it was really easy for me to get frustrated. Now, it's pretty hard for me to get frustrated. I might get, and I use all kinds of different words that have a lesser negative impact on me than frustrated. So I want to make sure that we will have soap ingrained in our subconscious level and be automatic. So when we're faced with a challenge, we automatically run through the steps of soap, because that will ensure that we get the best outcome for us in any given situation. Will it be perfect? Heck no. I go through it all the time, and it means I'm moving in the direction I want, but it doesn't mean I get the perfect solution every time on the first try, right? Nobody does. That's unless we're master guru perfect beings, which we're all working to become. It doesn't happen that way. Now, soap, I'm going through in the 7th area, this is the 6th area for me, as I'm going through the soap framework to just demonstrate that, and kind of selfishly, to actually make sure that I am doing it and considering each of the 7 areas of my life as we go through this crazy upheaval time in many and in most of our lives. So spiritual is the one I announced that I'm doing yesterday, and S, although it starts with S, spiritual is not the S in soap. The S in soap is, of course, our situation. What is the story or our situation that we're telling ourselves right now about this area or aspect of our life? So what is the story I'm telling myself right now about the spiritual aspects of my life? And whether we know it or not, we're always telling ourselves a story. We're always running programs in the background, in our subconscious mind, that keep us functioning in every area and every aspect of our life. We often aren't aware of those. When's the last time you actually had to think about breathing? When's the last time you had to think about blinking? We don't think about it. It's automatic. When's the last time you told your heart it has to keep beating? You don't. Or that your digestive tract has to deal with the food that you put in your mouth. We don't. It's all subconscious. It's all automatic. And we want to take the ideas that and the actions that we come up with and take them from the subconscious and then bring them into the conscious, and then we want to put something back into our subconscious so that our improvement in these areas becomes automatic. And we've done that in 5 areas so far, and I'll summarize those toward the end. You know, what am I doing in each of these 5 areas? What have I put on automatic and put it in my subconscious so that I'm just automatically doing these things to improve my physical well-being, to improve my mental well-being, to improve my emotional well-being, to improve my financial situation. And now we're working on my personally spiritual situation. So S stands for situation. Where am I right this very minute? I got to be really honest with myself. It doesn't matter if you fool other people. You can never really fool yourself. You have to sit down or just in passing, think about where am I with respect to the area I'm working on as part of the S, the situation, the story. Where am I right this very minute? What are my results? And remember, where we are right now is just the result of all of the experiences, all of the thoughts, all the feelings, everything that's happened to us in the past, and it's the results of all that mushed together right now. Now, where we are in our story and our situation isn't where we're going to stay, right? We're only doing this challenge, and we're only ever doing anything in our life because we want to get better. I don't know anybody who does things in their life because they want to get worse. Everything we do as human beings is because we want to move forward. We want to get better. We want to move toward what we want. We're often stopping ourselves because we're focused so much on what we don't want that we're not moving forward and we're staying stuck, or we're so focused on thinking about the past and regretting and feeling bad or shameful or guilty about what has happened in the past or where we are right now, and we're so busy criticizing it that we're not letting ourselves move forward. So we need to know where we are, and then we need to know where do we want to go. Where am I right now with my spiritual situation, my spiritual everything, and where do I want to be? Now, like every other area of our life, it isn't just one thing or another. There's different things that positively impact my spirituality, and there's things that negatively impact my spirituality. And that's why, as part of the S, I like to think of my story, the who, what, where, when, why. Remember back in the old journalistic days, I shared that example. We haven't talked about it for at least a week or 2 weeks, or if we've even talked about it since the very beginning. But I can ask myself, or you can ask yourself, what is my current situation? What's the story I'm telling myself? And you can do it like a journalist. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. At least when journalism used to be a good thing. There's still some great journalists, but they're few and far between, whereas there used to be a lot of great journalists. Now it's just a game of who can get the most attention, and it doesn't even matter if it's really true or factual. It's we're going to put it out there and see who can get the most eyeballs and attention on it. Definitely a focus on the wrong result in many situations. So where am I now? Where do I want to be with respect to spirituality? And I can use the who, what, where, when, why format to help me. I like to have frameworks to help me think through things automatically. Or I can use what's called a SWOT analysis. And I don't remember if during this challenge we have talked about SWOT, S-W-O-T, and what that means. A SWOT analysis means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's something I used in my corporate career and in running my businesses and setting up business plans and helping to coach other people that are working on their businesses as well. A SWOT analysis just means I think about, and it's usually in a business setting, but it absolutely, totally, and positively can apply to our own lives. We can look at our lives in each of these areas, and we can actually do a SWOT analysis on our own spirituality and our own spiritual health, right? So I can say, what are my strengths with respect to spirituality? And I can list those out. What are my weaknesses with respect to my spiritual health and well-being? And list those out. What are my opportunities for spiritual growth and development, and you know, what's possible? We're going to talk about this, of course, much more in the O tomorrow. And then T, what are the threats? What are the threats to my spiritual well-being? Well, right now, one of the biggest threats to all of our spiritual well-being is the environment that we're in. COVID-19, the political environment, at least here in the United States, very negative, right? Very anti-spiritual, very social group thing and social consciousness. And guess what? Social consciousness and thinking like everybody else thinks is the worst thing for my own personal spiritual development. You might think it's okay for you, but I would say whenever you're being brainwashed by something outside of yourself, that is bad for your spiritual connection and spiritual well-being with God and Christianity. And there's an attack on religion and Christianity and God and everything else, that human beings feel connected to one another and to a higher being and to themselves. There's a huge attack going on in our world right now. Guess what? It's always been going on. And based on what you believe, the source of that is, it again, up to you. So I will today do a SWOT analysis on my spiritual situation, and I will do a where am I now and where do I want to be, and I don't know how much I'll share with that, but with everybody, maybe we'll talk. I'll probably talk about the high points of what I realize and see in the ahas as I do that work today. But I'm encouraging you to do the same. Whatever area of your life you're working on with the soap, so we can clean up that area of our life. What is your current situation, and what do you want it to be? Let's, for our action item, I want you to do that, and either pick the who, what, where, and why to walk through quickly, and you can do it in your head and just write down some notes, or sit down and write it down. I will say, and I will tell you, one of the secrets of really making massive change and improvements and success in your life is if you write things down. My dad taught me this when I was we were little girls when my dad taught us this, the power of written goals. And I watched him write goals and then achieve things that other people would have never thought he could have achieved, given, you know, where he came from, his humble beginnings, to where he ended up when he passed away 5 years ago. Incredible what any human being can achieve, but guess what? Writing it down really helps. So that's a secret. You don't have to follow it, but I will tell you, you know, write down stuff and then carry it with you. Look at it once in a while, like every day, if you really want to supercharge what it is that you're trying to do. So that's it. Ask today stands for situation, story. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? And then who, what, where, when, why, and how about your story. And I like to do that with what my story is now, and then I like to do it with what I want my situation to be as I'm continually improving and growing. And guess what? That's my vision of what I want. Is that going to change? Yeah. As soon as I get close to that, I'm going to push out and create a new vision. That's human nature. We do that. So, any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. We will talk about the big O in soap and how you apply it to this area or aspect of your life that you're working on. I will, of course, be applying it to my spiritual situation. Anyway, have a great day. If I can help you in any way, ask. Just ask. Anytime we have a question, the fastest, easiest way to get an answer to that is to ask. And if I don't know the answer, guess what? I will find you somebody that does, or we will hook you up with an opportunity to get the answer, whatever your question is. Have a great day, and I'll, of course, be tomorrow.